put this more into context, I think that everybody has a natural shot shape that you usually hit. Like me growing up, I've always hit a draw. Like I grew up playing golf with a strong grip, so I've always been used to playing a draw. So naturally my eye suits a draw more. So it's easier for me to aim to the right side of the target versus aiming to the left and trying to cut it back. So that's, for me, a draw shape. It comes more naturally because I see it better. Okay, so essentially in saying that, it's a lot easier for me to just aim right and swing at it versus aiming left, because every time I aim left, as a natural draw hitter, it looks like I'm, going to pull it into the trees. So over the past years, like my swing has evolved and I started hitting a cut. And I mean, I've never really had that much formal training, to be honest, so I don't really know all the mechanics of my swing. And when I hit a cut, obviously I was happy because it was like, hey, I've played a draw my whole life and I could never hit a cut, and now I'm hitting a perfect baby fade. Why should I change it, right? But I never really knew how that affected my game and my game plan, strategy, etc, etc. So with that being said, today we are going to try to work our way around the East course, purposely trying to play a draw. Now you might think that this actually comes naturally to me as a draw player, but in reality I have actually tried to avoid playing the draw because one of the shots that I dread the most is a hook. If you play golf, you know that there is one shot that you will always hate more than the other. For instance, that might be a hook, that might be a push, that might be a thin, a heavy shot, whatever it is. There's always one shot shape that you just dislike more than the other. For me, as somebody who draws, that is a hook. And of course, when you're trying to avoid a hook, you never purposely try to draw, because in your head you might think, oh, the more I try to draw, the more the tendency it is to hook. Although I definitely would not say that I'm avoiding a draw, most of the time I never purposely try to draw. Most of my draws come naturally, so in my head I never really force myself to do anything to play a draw. As I said, it comes naturally, so I don't really have to think twice about it. Learning to accept and learning to play my shot shape intentionally seems like such a no-brainer concept, but it hasn't been until up to recently that I've really learned how this can actually positively impact my game. This tee shot right here is a perfect example. Playing a draw makes target selection so much easier. The same goes for this approach shot over here. There is a water hazard down the right side, but if I intentionally play a draw, and of course I need to be able to produce that draw, I can freely aim towards the left side of the right water hazard and know that no matter how hard I swing at it, it is going to draw away from the hazard, and that hazard will never be in play. Having this mental freedom and clarity to just be able to swing at your ball without having to worry about hazards or OBs or whatever else might come into play that you want to avoid makes such a big difference in the way that you not only manage your way around a golf course, but also just in your ability to be able to swing the golf club freely. As we all know, being able to swing the golf club freely is one of the key points to be able to play good golf. Let's take a look at this hole right here. This is a video taken from KLGCC's YouTube channel, but this is roughly where the tee shot is going to be, towards this part of the fairway, and you can see lots of water hazard all down the left side. This is actually a cart path, and then there's another hole here, so there is space here, but you might get blocked out by the trees. Aiming from this tee shot towards here, it's about a 200-ish yards carry to a decent lie. To carry the water is maybe about 185, 190 to be safe. But you can just tell, if you were a player that's playing a draw shot coming from this tee box, you can very easily aim towards the cart path. And as I said, if you know that your ball is going to draw, it's going to be easy to swing freely because you have at least 30 yards of space here. And unless you're hitting more than a 30-yard draw, that wouldn't really be considered a draw anymore. That would be more like a hook. You are not going to get into the water hazard. Alternatively, if you're a fade player, you can always aim it towards this side of the water hazard, the right side of this left water hazard, and just make sure that your ball fades away from there, and you know that you're never going to get it in this water hazard. Being able to choose your shot shape helps you choose a better target because you know that whatever you do, obviously the main thing that you want to avoid is this water hazard right here. This water hazard doesn't really come into play, but giving yourself a good position out here, you don't really have to hit a driver. Anything that gets you about 200 yards out here is going to give you a good approach shot into this short green, and you're going to have a good look at birdie. However, if you're trying to select a target for a straight shot, it would probably have to be somewhere around here. And if you're selecting a target right around here, not only does it look more narrow from the tee box, just because now you are much closer to the water hazard, but you also have to factor in that with a straight shot, since you're not really producing a shape, you could potentially go either left or right. So if your straight shot isn't perfectly straight, there is a chance that you could both go into the hazard and push it into the trees. Obviously, this chance also exists with, a short shape. However, choosing a target that's right in the center of the fairway, now you're at a higher risk of being in both the hazards that this hole presents, rather than, for instance, if you're playing a draw, you know that you have this much fairway to work with. Rather than hitting a straight shot, now you either have only this much if you draw it or this much if you fade it. That just cut the fairway size in half, whereas with a draw, you just have the entire fairway. I hope this is making sense. Let me know what you guys think. Without trying to blow my own horn here, I've met a lot of people who told me I hit the ball very straight. And yes, we all see hitting the ball straight as an achievement, as an accomplishment, as something that we want to do all the time. However, I think that aiming to hit a straight shot all the time is like aiming to hit a perfect shot all the time. Yes, we always go over the ball with the intention to hit a really good shot. However, we don't necessarily have to select targets or select clubs based on a perfect shot. If you're always going to, for instance, hit a club that's going to have to be hit perfectly to go on the green, or it's going to be, in a bunker or in a water hazard, there's a much higher percentage that you're going to be in that bunker or in that water hazard if you hit that ball 100 times from the same spot. This is why golf is also a game of choices. We need to make good choices on the golf course, and always choosing to try to hit a perfect shot with the perfect club to a perfect target is not really the way to play golf. Golf is a game of misses. Knowing how to miss in a way that is going to avoid the big numbers that's still going to help us make par is more important than trying to hit perfect shots all the time. To some people, this might seem like common sense. They've maybe heard people tell them many times, you need to choose a shot shape. But to me, I never really understood that. If you hit it straight, why would you choose to hit a draw or a fade? That was my thought process. But today, coming out here and trying this for the first time, and yes, I'm not just doing this for the video's sake, this is an actual experiment to myself. This is the first time I'm going out to a golf course intentionally trying to draw on every single shot, which, like I said, may be a surprise to some of you guys, but this is really something foreign to me. And although it's not miraculously just going to cut my scoring average by 10 strokes, I definitely did feel freer trying to aim to play a draw throughout the round. I think one of the biggest things is that this allowed me to play with the feeling that I am able to miss. When I'm trying so hard to hit a hard shot, technically a miss can be both ways, and technically we're never aiming for a miss because we're aiming to hit a straight shot, which is, this is the 5th time I'm saying technically, but it's technically a perfect shot. So when I'm always out there trying to hit a straight shot, I'm never aiming for any sort of miss. And when I do miss, it sends my body into panic because I don't know which direction it's going. Playing out here with the intention of drawing, I know that if I miss it, a majority of the time it's going to go left. Like I said before, this might be general knowledge to some of you guys, or some of you guys may have been told to choose a shot shape, and maybe you've played like this your entire life and never really knew how differently it might feel to not play a shot shape. But if you are one of the players who, like me, yes, a tour pro, who has been playing golf since the age of 12, have always tried to play for a straight shot other than, when I'm in trouble and trying to hook it out the trees or cut it out the trees, or had to hit a specific shot, you know that trying to hit a straight shot, you're never really allowing yourself to make mistakes. And like I said, playing golf with the intention to not make any mistakes is making golf a very stressful game, and it is hard enough as it is. We do not need to make it harder. I think in terms of being coaching, learning your own swing, learning to improve, course management, strategy, everything. If you haven't already chosen a shot shape, you should definitely pick one. I mean, it's just going to make your life so much easier. And it's just going to, don't get me wrong, it doesn't mean that you're never going to miss the opposite direction. I don't believe that there's such a thing as a one-way miss. Like, yes, I will predominantly draw it. The more I practice, I'm going to avoid the right side. But at the end of the day, if I hit a bad shot, obviously I can still push it, but it's just going to be a much lower percentage, and a higher percentage of the time you're just going to be able to draw it and hit it more solid, because you're going to be able to commit to your shot more, which I think is the main goal and the main thing that we're trying to achieve here is commit to your shot. Whatever happens, as long as you commit to your shot, you can't control the result. That's all you can really do.